All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek help from Him. We seek forgiveness from Him. And we seek refuge with Him from the evil of ourselves and the sins of our deeds. Whomever Allah guides, no one can misguide. And whomever Allah misguides, no one can guide. And I testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, alone, without any partners, and that Muhammad is His slave and messenger. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Indeed, the best speech is the speech of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And the worst things are new things in the religion. Every such thing is an innovation, a bid'ah. Every bid'ah is going astray, and every dalala going astray is in the hellfire. Before I start, brothers and sisters, I want to, and this is something I find in many masajid, not just here, we sometimes don't know some of the adab of Jummah. So, for example, to have your phone ready and doing something on it during khutbah is not correct. It is correct opinion that it is haram. Anything that distracts you from Jummah. Talking is haram after the khatib started the khutbah. Praying is haram after he comes and sits. So all of this we have to know, because today we're going to talk inshallah about some of it. But not particularly about Jummah, not about Friday only. But this is very important. When we come to school, college and other institutions, they have their own rules, and it is correct, because every place has to have its own rules. And we in the mosque, we have our rules that are taken from the Quran and Sunnah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to leave trade when the second adhan, if there are two adhans for Jum'ah, when the second one goes, we must leave all trade. After that, our trade is haram, and any money we get is haram. He told us in Surah Al-Jum'ah, He revealed the whole surah called Surah Al-Jum'ah. The Prophet ﷺ told us many things about Jum'ah, the day of Friday. Why? Because some people may not know how to come to this gathering, because the word Jum'ah means gathering, the day of gathering. So we have a prayer which is only maybe with the khutbah half an hour, maybe 40 minutes at most. So we have to know this so we don't waste our time. Plus, when I say Muhammad, it is not correct for people sitting in front of me, and don't be offended, ikhwan, because I have to say the truth, to say sallallahu alayhi wasallam louder than me with the microphone. Because it is khutbah, yani it's not you giving the khutbah. Don't be offended. It is me giving the khutbah, number one. Anyone else who gives the khutbah. Secondly, if you want to say sallallahu alayhi wasallam, say it quietly. And you don't have to tell me you say sallallahu alayhi wasallam or anyone else. Allah can hear you wherever you are and whatever you say. Thirdly, the correct opinion is not allowed to say sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And you may have a different opinion, it's okay. But I consider it's not allowed. Why? The Prophet ﷺ said, don't speak. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam is speech. You can't say in salah, you're praying and someone says Muhammad, you say sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So it's considered speech. So any speech that is said in the khutbah is not allowed. Even salam. Many brothers come in, and this I have to say almost every khutbah, because many brothers, they don't care. Sorry to say, akhwan. And you have to be honest. We look around us in the world, and today inshallah the talk will be after Asr about that. And we wonder why people are being killed every time. Yani don't think it's just started now. Every time we have killings everywhere. 10 years ago, look, we had killings somewhere else. We have killings everywhere. So we always ask, oh, poor people, poor Muslims, because we don't care about what Allah said. We come to Jum'ah, we want to put our own rule. It's not our rule, yani it's what Allah wants. It's for our benefit as well. Some people park their car inconsiderably, yes, but when you come and say Salam Alaikum loudly, as if you are alone coming for Jum'ah, that's total disrespect. So whether you like it or not, it's my duty to say. That's why I'm here on this minbar. Otherwise I shouldn't be standing here. Because if I only say what people like, we're going the wrong way. I have to say what Allah likes. If people are good, they will like it. So we have to remind each other, because I make mistakes, maybe you make mistakes. We have to remind each other. And I am not naming anyone, as you understand. It's a general reminder that when we are in Jummah, the masjid is small. Imagine big masjid like Green Lane. I did khutbah in Green Lane. When 5,000 people are saying Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I can't do the khutbah. So I said it there as well, you can see it. I think it is recorded. So we have to remind each other, ikhwan. We have to remind that the khutbah is for the khatib. That is his thing, to benefit the people. That's why we have to choose good khatib. We have to choose someone who can speak, someone who can relate the information in a good way. And also I am advising our younger brothers, if you have children, please also teach them. Don't leave them unattended, because children learn from you. Whatever you say, they don't look. Whatever you do, they look. So you can say to them anything you like, but if you do other than what you say, they will never take what you're saying. Generally. So today's khutbah is the hadith found, or a hadith found in the Sunan of Imam Al-Tirmidhi rahimahullah. And it's a very short hadith, but it's a very great hadith. And I advise myself and my brothers to remember this hadith, because every short hadith we can memorize, we should memorize in Arabic. This hadith is narrated by two great of the great Sahaba, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari and Mu'adh bin Jabal radiyallahu anhuma. And they said that the Prophet ﷺ said, ittaqillaha haythuma kunt. Fear Allah, or have taqwa wherever you are. وَأَتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. And follow up a bad deed with a good one. It will remove it or wipe it away. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And behave towards people in a good manner. Here we have three small sentences. Each one we will look at very briefly, because we don't have enough time. First of all, ittaqillaha haythuma kunt. Taqwa, it includes everything. There is minimum taqwa and maximum taqwa. We want from the Muslims at least minimum taqwa. Taqwa in Arabic means to protect yourself from something. Make wiqaya, like Allah said, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Protect yourselves and your families, your people under your charge from the hellfire. So taqwa is the same root in Arabic. So the protection that in the Sharia, the protection we can have is we make some protection between us and the hellfire. We make some protection between us and the anger of Allah. For that reason, Allah told us that He created humans to worship Him so that they may have taqwa. اعبدوا ربكم الذين خلقكم يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Worship your Lord who created you and those before you so that you may have taqwa. We fast because لعلكم تتقون, we may have taqwa, because the result of our fasting must be that we fear Allah. We are able to control ourselves. We are able to control ourselves to do good and to avoid evil. That is the result of our fasting. So this hadith fits very nicely any khutbah that you may have had about Ramadan or the end of Ramadan and so on, because ittaqillah, the Prophet ﷺ said, at any point, fear Allah wherever you are, whether you are in Ramadan or outside Ramadan, whether you're at home alone, and that's one of the highest forms of taqwa, when no one can see you, only Allah sees you and you fear Him. Boys, I want to tell you not to stop talking, or I'll ask you to leave and talk outside. So fear Allah wherever you are. Fear Allah wherever you are. Whether you are alone or with people. With people we try, of course, even more to fear Allah. Brothers, please come forward. Jazakumullah khairah. We have brothers coming in. If you can, just a little bit forward. Jazakumullah khairah. Ittaqillah haythuma kunt. Haythuma in Arabic means wherever, any place. And he made it alone. Ittaqi, not ittaqu. That's also important, because the Prophet ﷺ is addressing each one of us. Not as a group only we must fear Allah. We must fear Allah as individuals. That is the problem we have. As individuals that make up the whole society. We must look at ourselves. We must not constantly, when you look at Facebook and others, and I want to make a separate khutbah on Facebook, but inshallah we will not divulge now. But when you look at so-called social media, people blaming everyone else. They don't blame themselves at all. They think they, mashallah, they're like Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali and everyone who themselves used to blame themselves. But we think that everyone else is to blame. Muslims, they've done everything correctly. But it's the other people are bad. The Muslims, they're great. Mashallah, he has taqwa, they say even. They don't even know what he has. They make such statements. And the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, fear Allah wherever you are. Fear means we must know what to do. He has great taqwa. How do you know? Does he learn? No. How can you have taqwa? They learn more the laws of other religions than Islamic laws. How can you have taqwa if you don't know what is haram and you must avoid it? How can you have taqwa when you don't know what is wajib and you must do it? Many people, they watch more television, they attend lessons or learn anything. They don't have any books at home. The only book they have maybe is Yellow Pages. We have to have books. How can we know what Allah loves if we don't have any books at home? We don't have Quran. We don't read it. We don't understand it. We don't have Sahih al-Bukhari. We don't know what the Prophet ﷺ said. We don't know how the Sahaba understood. They say it's expensive. Do you think television is not expensive? Go and look at the prices. It's not expensive to have books, ikhwan. So we must have the culture of books. We must have the culture of learning. And we must give it to our children if we want our children to have taqwa. Otherwise they will never have taqwa. Many people, they think he has a beard and he wears shalwar qamis and he has taqwa. That's easy to do. Because if you don't shave, it grows by itself, the beard. And shalwar qamis is easy to buy. Then kafir can have a taqwa if you look at this way. It is part of taqwa if you do for Allah. But it is not the end of taqwa. It is the beginning only of taqwa. Like some people think they have memorized the Quran, their children memorized the Quran, that's the end of the road. It's the beginning of the road. Now you have to understand the Quran. Then you have to act upon the Quran. So this statement is a very great statement and it's a very small statement. Ittaqillaha haythuma kunt. With Muslims, with non-Muslims. Show non-Muslims, we all communicate with them. Show non-Muslims that we fear Allah. We don't fear other things. And because we fear Allah, we don't overstep the limit set by Allah. Like we understand why speed limit is in place. We don't drive like crazy. We understand why there are rules in place. And we don't overstep them because Allah told us to respect those rules. The Prophet ﷺ taught us to respect those rules. That's what we have to show to people. Allah told us to soften our hearts so that it accepts the truth when it sees it, so that it knows the truth from falsehood when it sees it. And that requires knowledge, that requires thinking, that requires learning, that requires everything. For that reason this hadith is great and I advise everyone to try and learn it and act upon it. Wa billahi tawfiq. The second part of the hadith, or the second sentence of this great hadith says, وَأَتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ is pointing to the fact that however much we fear Allah, and we try, we are humans. We are created not like angels who don't disobey Allah. We may make mistakes, we may commit sins. And that's why he said, when you have a sayyi'ah, a sin, then follow it up with a good deed. First of all, if you don't know something is sayyi'ah, you're not going to follow it up with anything. Because you're going to think you're doing great. Many Muslims, they're doing haram, and I don't mean haram like drinking khamr or committing zina. I don't mean like that. Because most Muslims know it, alhamdulillah. They do bid'ah, they do shirk. They think they're great, mashallah. They say Allah is everywhere, and they argue with you that you are mubtadi'. You say, Yakhi, don't say Allah is everywhere. They say, A'udhu billah. This is how we must say. And he's committing one of the greatest mistakes and sins. And he thinks he is, mashallah, great. You are the mubtadi'. You are the innovator. So we must know what is sayyi'ah. Because some sayyi'ah can take you out of Islam. A'udhu billah. Some sins are so bad that they can take the person out of Islam. Some sins are so bad they remove everything good you may have done. Look at the Prophet ﷺ, he says about a woman who prays at night, who gives sadaqah, who fasts, but her tongue is very bad, and she harms her neighbors, and the Prophet said she's in the hellfire. What is your fast and everything if you don't control your tongue? So some bad deeds are worse than others, and that's why we must learn. Just like we learn to drive. We say this offense is very bad. The police can fine you this much. Avoid it. In religion it's worse. If you commit this sin, you may end up in the hellfire, iyadhan billah. So we have to learn what we must avoid more than others. And Allah said, Allah doesn't forgive shirk. And many people do shirk, they say no problem. How can you do shirk then Allah help you? Shirk means you make someone equal to Allah, or something equal to Allah. How many Muslims give an oath by someone other than Allah? And the Prophet ﷺ said, who gives an oath by other than Allah, he has made someone equal to Allah. فَقَدْ أَشْرَكَ. They do it. So we must know which sayyi'at. What is a sayyi'ah? Maybe we hurt our brother, not realizing. And we don't even consider it bad. This at all levels. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he made it general. Any sin. So we must know the sins. We must learn. What is a sayyi'ah? What is a hasana? How can we remove this sin? We must learn. We can remove it by doing just simple wudu. The Prophet ﷺ said the sins leave the person doing wudu. By doing salah correctly, by praying correctly, by doing sadaqah for the sake of Allah, by helping a needy person. Many things we can remove it. And Allah said in the Quran, إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. That the hasanat remove the sayyi'at. And we must know when we make a mistake, when we must remove, what we must do. So all of that, brothers and sisters, goes back to knowledge and then acting upon that knowledge. And the last but not least is a very important subject of akhlaq, of manners. The Prophet ﷺ said khaliq. In Arabic, khaliq is on the pattern of fa'il. Fa'il means constantly, time after time, behave to people in a good manner. Not just once you're good and then you're bad. All the time. What is good manner? We have to know. Again, we go back to ilm. What is good manner? Some people say he is so bad. Today he was so rude. He said you can't do this and you can't do that. Some people think it's rude if you tell them what to do, what not to do. Some people say he was so nice. he answered it like this, the question, and it was wrong. So we have to learn the akhlaq of the Prophet ﷺ, the manners of the Sahaba. Without that we can't behave good to anyone, because generally, yes, we can behave good, but some things we can't accept. For example, I saw with my own eyes a Muslim. In front of him, some non-Muslims were laughing at Islam. And he was laughing with them. He said, it's good manners. A'udhu billah, I said, you're doing kufr, ya akhi. You're laughing at Islam. He said, it's good, you can't be bad to kuffar. This person, he doesn't know maybe what Islam is. You do. So you are not equal to him. You have to teach him that you can't laugh like that. So what is good manners and what is bad, we have to learn. And we have to be good to our parents. We have to be good to our families, wives, children. It's not good for us to have like an army regime at home. We come in, sit, stand, lie, go, stop. We have to be nice to our families. Some brothers are nice outside, but when they get home, it's like army training, boot camp. Kids don't shout, kids don't say, wife don't talk. We have to be nice to our families. We have to be nice to people who are close to us. And the same applies to wives. Doesn't mean just brothers are good to their wives. Wives have to be good to their husbands as well. Children have to be respectful to their parents. We have to teach it to them. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ looked at the priority. He first put taqwa, and that includes tawheed, sunnah, everything obligatory at the top, going all the way down. Then if we make a mistake, we repent to Allah, we do tawbah, and it's part of hasana. Because to do tawbah for Allah is a great hasana. And then we try to do more good deeds. And then he said, that is kept off. The icing on the cake is good manners. And if you don't have good manners, you have to learn them. Just like we learn everything else. Because some people have them from birth. And some people have to learn them. For them it's greater struggle. But the more you struggle for Allah, the more reward you get. So if you are rude by nature, and you try to correct yourself for the sake of Allah, then you get a greater reward than someone who is not rude by nature. Because you put in more effort to make yourself what Allah loves. And the Prophet ﷺ, you know very well, he said many things about good manners. He said, the person who has good manners and me will be close to one another. What greater neighbor do you want? He will be close to the Prophet ﷺ. So we have to learn the manners, brothers and sisters, and we have to implement them. One of the manners I want to tell you, I say it maybe on many occasions, I want to remind myself and you. One of the very bad manners is the people who don't answer your phone calls or don't answer your texts. Or whatever other form of communication we now use, email or whatever. That's very bad. Then he comes back and says, I was busy. We're all busy. What do you think? I'm sitting by the phone? We're all busy, ikhwan. Even ants are busy underneath us. But we have to, the Prophet ﷺ was the most busy person in the world. And he used to find time for everyone. I'm not saying sit with me all day, no. Answer my SMS, please. That I'm saying as a person, not as anyone else. As not even a Muslim, as a person. A non-Muslim sends us SMS, we should answer. To respect them. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, treat people as you would like to be treated. Unless, of course, you're driving and it's dangerous. Of course, we understand that. But not all the time. Some people all the time, they never answer. As if they bought their mobile phone for games and to look at the clock. So I don't, and myself, I'm talking about myself, my experience. This is one of the worst manners now we have. Not answering the phone, and not answering texts. So we have to learn to answer. Put yes, no, W, whatever you want to answer, put something. And learn the manners of texting, ikhwan. Don't text AA. AA, not RAC. Someone texted me AA, I didn't understand. Until someone told me it's Assalamu alaikum. I said, how can you reduce the name of Allah, As-Salam, to A? I understand alaykum maybe. Who said you are allowed to reduce name of Allah, As-Salam, to A? Some put Inshallah, IA. Who said you can reduce? Does Allah have initials? Even that people don't know. Just they see someone does, mashallah, that's quick. You have predictive texting now. You just press one letter, the whole word comes out. That's too long to do. So we have just a reminder for me and you. May Allah enable all the Muslims to have taqwa. And that is what Allah said will protect us. So may Allah protect us through taqwa, through our knowledge, through our actions, through our tawbah, through our good actions, good manners for the sake of Allah, and remove the hardship of Muslims everywhere. Everywhere. We have problems everywhere, ikhwan. Not just in Egypt. In Egypt, just on TV. Everywhere we have problems. Don't think that just because one day they killed so many people in Egypt, we just have problem of Egypt. We have problems everywhere. We have problems in Kashmir. We have problems in Chechnya. We have problems in Palestine. We have problems in Egypt, in Syria. Whatever country you name, almost, we have problems. And this way out is this hadith. This hadith, just easy to do. Just learn and do what Allah said, the Prophet ﷺ said. May Allah remove the hardship of the hardship they are in by them going back to their religion. Not by asking the UN. That's wrong. Because only Allah can remove it, He said in the Quran. So go back to Allah. We must go back to Allah. The help and victory comes only from Him. We must go back to Him. And may Allah enable all the Muslims to do it. Wa aqimus salah.